Ever wondered why sometimes, when you give someone the cold shoulder, they suddenly become more interested? Or maybe you've experienced the opposite. You've pulled away from someone only to realize how much you miss them. It's a common human experience, and one that the ancient Stoics had some pretty interesting thoughts about. The Stoics, those wise old Greeks and Romans, were big on understanding human nature. They believed that our actions are often driven by emotions, but that reason should be our guide. When it comes to relationships, the Stoics had a lot to say about things like virtue, self-control, and the importance of living in the present moment. In this series, we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind why people come back after you've given them some space. We'll explore everything from the power of absence to the role that self-improvement plays in attracting others. And, of course, we'll be looking at these concepts through the lens of Stoic philosophy. So, whether you're trying to understand why someone you care about has returned, or you're simply curious about the complexities of human relationships, this series is for you. Let's get started. Here are a few questions we'll be exploring. How can understanding Stoic principles help us navigate the complexities of relationships? What role does self-improvement play in attracting others? How can we use the power of absence to strengthen our relationships? And most importantly, how can we make sure that any reconciliation is based on mutual respect and understanding? Get ready to uncover the fascinating world of human connection and discover how the wisdom of the ancient Stoics can help you build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Lesson 1. The value of absence. Ever had someone come crawling back after you've given them the cold shoulder? It can feel pretty good, right? But why does it happen? Let's dive into a bit of Stoic wisdom to understand this common human experience. The Stoics, those ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, were all about living a virtuous life. They emphasized things like reason, self-control, and acceptance. Now, let's connect this to our modern dating woes, or joys, depending on how you look at it. When you give someone the distance they need, you're essentially creating a vacuum in their lives. And nature, as the Stoics would say, abhors a vacuum. This means that in the absence of your presence, they're more likely to realize your value. It's like when you take a favorite toy away from a kid, they suddenly appreciate it a whole lot more. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a really great houseplant. You water it every day, give it plenty of sunlight, and generally take good care of it. Over time, you might start to take it for granted. But then, say you forget to water it for a week. The leaves start to wilt, and you realize just how much you love that little plant. In relationships, it's the same idea. When someone is constantly around, they might not fully appreciate the positive qualities you bring to their life. But when you create a little distance, they have the opportunity to reflect on those qualities and realize how much they mean to them. This isn't about playing games or manipulating people. It's about self-respect and understanding your worth. If someone doesn't appreciate you, giving them some space can help you see things more clearly. And if they do come back around, you'll be in a better position to make a decision about whether or not you want to continue the relationship. Remember, the goal isn't to punish someone or make them suffer. It's to create a situation where you can both grow and learn. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So the next time you find yourself in a situation where someone has taken you for granted, consider giving them some space. It might just be the best thing you can do for yourself. Lesson 2. The fear of losing you. Ever had someone come crawling back because they're scared of losing you? It's a classic tale as old as time, But why does fear of loss often drive people back into our arms? Let's dive into a bit of Stoic wisdom to understand this common human experience. The Stoics, those ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, were all about mastering their emotions. They taught us that fear, while a natural human emotion, doesn't have to control us. And when it comes to relationships, the fear of loss can be a powerful motivator. Think of it like a rubber band. The more you stretch it, the more it wants to snap back to its original position. In relationships, when you create distance, it's like stretching that rubber band. And when it's stretched too far, it's only natural for it to want to snap back. Now, let's bring this back to the real world. Imagine you're in a relationship where you're always giving more than you're getting. Over time, you might start to feel taken for granted. So, you decide to create some distance. Suddenly, your partner realizes how much they rely on you, and they start to panic. The fear of losing you becomes so overwhelming that they're willing to do whatever it takes to get you back. But here's the thing. While the fear of loss can be a powerful motivator, it's not always a reliable indicator of someone's true feelings. Just because someone is afraid of losing you doesn't mean they're suddenly going to be a better partner. Remember, the Stoics taught us to focus on what we can control, and our emotions are a big part of that. So if someone comes back to you because they're afraid of losing you, it's important to take a step back and evaluate the situation. Are their actions genuine, or are they just trying to get what they want? Key takeaways. Fear can be a powerful motivator. The fear of loss can drive people to do things they wouldn't normally do. Don't let fear control you. You deserve to be with someone who values you for who you are, not just because they're afraid of losing you. Focus on your own needs. Your happiness and well-being should always be a priority. So, the next time someone comes back to you after you've given them some space, ask yourself, are their actions driven by fear or by genuine love and respect? Lesson 3. The power of a timeout. Ever noticed how sometimes when we step away from a situation, we come back with a clearer head? It's like hitting the reset button on our minds. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who were all about living a good life, would totally understand this. They believed that one of the keys to happiness was to control what you can control and let go of what you can't. When you're in the thick of a relationship issue, it can be hard to see the forest for the trees. But by taking a step back, you give yourself the space to reflect on what's really going on. Imagine you're trying to solve a really tough puzzle. You've been working on it for hours, but you just can't seem to figure it out. So, you decide to take a break and go for a walk. When you come back, you look at the puzzle with fresh eyes, and suddenly the solution becomes clear. That's kind of what happens when you give yourself some space in a relationship. It allows you to see the situation from a different perspective. Maybe you realize that you've been holding on to some resentment, or perhaps you see that your partner has been struggling with something. The Stoics would call this negative visualization. It's the practice of imagining the worst-case scenario. By doing this, you can prepare yourself for whatever life throws your way, but it can also help you appreciate the good things in your life. For example, if you're worried about losing your job, you might imagine what your life would be like if you were unemployed. This can help you to focus on the things that are truly important to you, like your relationships and your health. So, the next time you're feeling overwhelmed by a relationship issue, remember the power of reflection. Take a step back, clear your head, and try to see the situation from a different perspective. You might be surprised at how much it helps. Key takeaways. Timeouts can be incredibly beneficial. Stepping away from a situation can give you a fresh perspective. Reflection is key to growth. By thinking about your experiences, you can learn and grow. Negative visualization can help you appreciate the good things in life. So, the next time you're facing a challenge, remember the Stoics and give yourself the gift of time and reflection. Lesson 4. Dealing with your inner demons. Ever noticed how sometimes when people come back after a break, they seem like a completely different person? It's like they've had a personal epiphany. Well, the Stoics would say that this often happens when someone has taken the time to work on their own personal growth. The Stoics were big believers in the idea that most of our problems come from within. It's not so much the external circumstances that cause us pain, but rather our own reactions to those circumstances. So, when someone takes a break from a relationship, they might use that time to confront their own issues, like insecurities, anger, or fear of abandonment. Imagine you're driving down the highway and you get cut off by another driver. You might feel angry and frustrated, and you might even honk your horn or yell out the window. But what if you took a moment to think about why that driver cut you off? Maybe they were having a bad day, or maybe they were just being careless. By understanding their perspective, you might be able to let go of your anger. That's what the Stoics called negative visualization. It's the practice of imagining the worst-case scenario. By doing this, you can prepare yourself for whatever life throws your way. But it can also help you to appreciate the good things in your life. So, if someone comes back to you after a break and they seem like a changed person, it's possible that they've been doing some serious soul-searching. Maybe they've been going to therapy, practicing mindfulness, or reading self-help books. Whatever they've been doing, it's clear that they've made a commitment to personal growth. Key takeaways. Our problems often come from within. It's our reactions to events, not the events themselves, that cause us pain. Personal growth takes time and effort. Changing your thoughts and behaviors is a journey, not a destination. Negative visualization can help you appreciate the good things in life. So, the next time someone comes back to you after a break, consider whether they've used that time to address their own issues. If they have, it might be a sign that they're ready to build a healthier relationship. Lesson 5. The absence makes the heart grow fonder. Ever had that feeling when you miss someone so much it physically hurts? It's like a part of you is missing. Well, there's a reason for that. The Stoics, those ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, would say it's because humans are social creatures and we crave connection. When we're in a relationship, we get used to having that person around. They become a part of our daily routine. But when they're gone, we're forced to confront that emptiness. It's kind of like when you lose your favorite blanket. You don't realize how much you rely on it until it's gone. Think about it like this. Have you ever been on a long road trip and listened to a song that reminds you of someone special? It can bring back a flood of memories and emotions. That's the power of connection. When we share experiences with someone, those experiences become part of our identity. Now, let's bring this back to relationships. When we create distance from someone, we're essentially cutting off a part of ourselves, and it's only natural to want to reconnect with that part. The Stoics taught us to live in the present moment, but they also understood the importance of relationships. They believed that our connections with others give our lives meaning. So, while it's important to be self-sufficient, it's also important to nurture our relationships. Key takeaways. Humans are social creatures. We crave connection and belonging. Relationships give our lives meaning. Our bonds with others enrich our experiences. Absence can make the heart grow fonder. Sometimes we don't realize how much we value someone until they're gone. So, the next time you find yourself missing someone, remember that it's a natural part of being human. And if that person comes back into your life, consider whether it's a sign that you're meant to be together. Lesson 6. The universe has other plans. Ever had a relationship end just as things were starting to look up? Or maybe you've experienced a breakup that seemed to come out of nowhere. It can feel like the universe is conspiring against you. But as the Stoics would say, we can't control external events, only our reactions to them. Think of life as a river. We're all just little boats floating along, and sometimes we get swept up in currents that are beyond our control. Maybe your partner got a new job in another city, or maybe they went through a family crisis. These are external factors that can have a significant impact on a relationship. Now, the Stoics weren't big fans of dwelling on things that were outside of their control. They believed that focusing on the past or worrying about the future was a waste of time. Instead, they encouraged us to focus on the present moment. But that doesn't mean that we should ignore the impact that external factors can have on our lives. It just means that we need to find a way to cope with them. The Stoics practiced a technique called negative visualization, which involved imagining the worst-case scenario. By doing this, they were able to prepare themselves for whatever life threw at them. So, if your relationship ended because of external factors, it's important to be kind to yourself. Don't blame yourself for what happened. And remember that even though you can't control the universe, you can control how you react to it. Key takeaways. We can't control everything. External factors can have a significant impact on our lives. Focus on the present moment. Don't dwell on the past or worry about the future. Practice negative visualization. Prepare yourself for the worst so you can appreciate the good. So, the next time you experience a setback, remember that it's not the end of the world. The Stoics would say that it's simply an opportunity to grow and learn. Lesson 7. The Iron Will. Ever watched someone quit smoking cold turkey or stick to a grueling workout routine? That's self-discipline in action. The Stoics, those ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, were masters at it. They understood that our ability to control our impulses and desires was the key to a happy and fulfilling life. Let's break it down. Imagine you're on a diet, and your favorite dessert is staring you right in the face. The craving is real, but you manage to resist. That's self-discipline. The Stoics would say that you've exercised your will, and in doing so, you've strengthened it. The Stoics believed in the concept of the dichotomy of control. Essentially, this means that we can only control our thoughts and actions, not external events. So while you can't control the fact that your favorite dessert is in front of you, you can control your reaction to it. Think of your mind as a muscle. The more you work it out, the stronger it becomes. By practicing self-discipline, you're building mental muscle. This muscle will help you in all areas of your life, from your relationships to your career. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you face challenges, you have a choice. You can let them defeat you, or you can use them as an opportunity to grow. By choosing the latter, you're exercising your will." So, how can you cultivate self-discipline? Start small. Begin with small, achievable goals. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Embrace discomfort. Step outside of your comfort zone regularly. Visualize success. Imagine yourself achieving your goals. Remember, self-discipline isn't about deprivation, it's about freedom. By exercising your will, you're freeing yourself from the tyranny of your desires. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca put it, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Let's make every day a chance to strengthen our iron will. Lesson 8. Haunted by the what-ifs. Ever made a decision and then spent days, weeks, or even years wondering if you made the right choice? That's the fear of regret at work. The Stoics, those ancient Greek and Roman philosophers who were all about living a good life, would say that this fear can be a real roadblock to happiness. Imagine you're at a crossroads. One path leads to a stable job with good benefits, but it's not exactly your dream career. The other path is riskier but more aligned with your passions. The fear of regret might push you to choose the safer option, even if it doesn't truly fulfill you. The Stoics would argue that we often overestimate the negative impact of our decisions. While it's natural to worry about making the wrong choice, obsessing over it can lead to a lot of unnecessary stress. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So, how can we overcome the fear of regret? Accept uncertainty. Life is full of uncertainties. Trying to control everything is a losing battle. Focus on the present. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, focus on what you can do right now. Practice gratitude. Appreciate the good things in your life. Take calculated risks. Step outside of your comfort zone and embrace new experiences. Remember, the fear of regret is often irrational. It's based on hypothetical situations that may never happen. By focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't, you can free yourself from the burden of regret. Let's use a real-world example. You're offered a promotion at work, but it means moving to a new city and leaving behind your friends and family. The fear of regret might make you hesitant to accept the offer. But what if you look at it this way? Staying in your current city might lead to regret down the road. By taking a leap of faith and moving, you're opening yourself up to new experiences and opportunities. The Stoics would say that the only real regret is the one you experience for not trying. Lesson 9. The heart wants what it wants. Ever had a falling out with someone and wished you could just hit the reset button? The desire to reconcile is a powerful one, and it's something the Stoics would understand. They were all about living a virtuous life, and part of that meant repairing broken relationships. Let's imagine this scenario. You and your best friend have a huge argument. You're both stubborn, and neither of you wants to back down. But deep down, you miss your friend and want things to go back to the way they were. That's a genuine desire for reconciliation. The Stoics would say that our emotions, while powerful, should be guided by reason. So, while it's natural to feel hurt or angry after a disagreement, it's important to ask yourself, is holding on to this anger serving me? If the answer is no, then it might be time to let go and try to make things right. Now, let's talk about pride. It's a tricky emotion, and it can often get in the way of reconciliation. We might be too proud to admit we were wrong, or we might fear rejection. But the Stoics would argue that true strength comes from being able to admit our mistakes and apologize when necessary. So, what does it mean to have a genuine desire for reconciliation? It's about the other person. You're not just focused on how their actions have affected you, but also on how they might be feeling. It's about growth. You're willing to learn from your mistakes and grow as a person. It's about the relationship. You value the relationship and are willing to put in the effort to repair it. Remember, the Stoics believed that virtue is its own reward. By seeking reconciliation, you're not only improving your relationship with others, but you're also becoming a better person. Let's use a quote from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. A quarrel, is often caused by some insignificant thing, but it leads to many misfortunes. So there you have it. The ancient Stoics, with their focus on reason, virtue, and inner peace, offer some pretty profound insights into the complexities of human relationships. By understanding the principles of Stoicism, we can gain a deeper appreciation for ourselves and others, and make more informed decisions about our lives. Remember, the goal of creating distance isn't to play games or manipulate people. It's about self-respect, setting boundaries, and understanding your own worth. When you prioritize your own happiness and well-being, you become more attractive to others, not less. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A good man is one who has no need of another to make him happy." While relationships are important, it's equally important to be content with yourself. Whether someone comes back into your life after you've given them space is ultimately up to them. But by understanding the reasons why they might, you can approach any situation with a clear head and a compassionate heart. Remember, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. So, treat yourself with kindness, respect, and understanding. And remember, sometimes the best thing you can do for a relationship is to walk away, at least for a little while. In the end, it's all about living a life that's true to yourself. And that's something the Stoics would definitely approve of.